And we're back with another episode of Lakers Fast Break. It's truly great to have you here. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. On the latest Pop Culture Cosmos, number 499. That's right. We're one away from 500 weeks of pop culture news and information we've been bringing to you. 500 consecutive weeks next week. We've been doing it. And 499 brings you our thoughts on Project Hail Mary. I actually watched it last night. It is really good. It's a must watch, I think. If you are into going to the movies, go ahead and check out Project Hail Mary. I give it a high recommendation indeed. DLSS 5, not so much because it got debuted at the latest GDC. And if you want to know what DLSS 5 is, go ahead and check out the latest episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we pay our respects, which I know is a little bit touchy, but to the movie career and TV career of Chuck Norris as well. So go ahead and check out all that on the latest Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, also as well, want to go ahead and mention my man Drip Show at Drip Show Shop on Instagram, on Twitter, and also as well want to go ahead and mention starting April the 1st, we'll be running a little contest here. We're doing a drive to see how many subscribers we can get for the Lakers Fast Break and also followers at Drip Show Shop. You see it right there. YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Drip Show Shop right there. And we will go ahead and give away one of these bad boys to you, plus some other great prizes we may include as well. So go ahead and be prepared to see what everything entails when we run that contest starting on April the 1st. We'll probably have it run through as far as the drive towards subscriptions and subscribers and all that to April 15th on that. Although you can always subscribe whenever day it is, no problem. But want to let you know, we'll probably go ahead and give it away sometime a couple weeks later, right there for you from my man at Dripster Shop El Rosto, and as far as from the Lakers Fast Break as well. Want to go ahead and give some love to Danny Berry Sports Highlights, DBSH. Yo, also as well, of course, the Lakerholics crew at Lakerholics.com. My man, John Costa, hopefully he'll stop on by today. I know he's always been a busy guy. Mr. Zoom Executive, as we call him here on the show. My bad, I'm not even home. Okay, well, I just have to see that. No, John's not going to be here tonight. John, if you're watching and listening, no worries. I just got your message. So John will not be here tonight, but go ahead and check out his 3-minute report on, of course, Lakers Corner as well. And then Joe Soro. I know Joe Soro had a Joe Soro experiment recently, talk about the Lakers and the Dodgers. So go ahead and make sure you check out the Joe Soro experiment. And hopefully he will stop by as well. But wanted to make sure I got you guys taken care of as the Lakers finish off their road trip. And before the road trip started, we were talking about what we would like to see out of it. And we know Laker Tom from Lakerholics.com always goes on the deep end. He always goes, Gerald 6-0. We're going 6-0, or something like that. 5-1 or something like that. And they're like, okay, Laker Tom, all right, or whatnot. But it was a very daunting task in front of the Lakers as far as what we would see upcoming. 2 games in Texas against Houston, followed up less than 24 hours later after the second game, a game in Miami at South Beach. Then a game after that in Orlando, where they haven't had a whole lot of great luck in recent years. And Orlando had won, 3 or 4 straight against the Lakers. And then it would take them to Detroit, always a tough task with or without Cade Cunningham. And then you would finally make sure you have yourself a day off, so to speak, with an easy win over the NBA's worst team, record-wise, Indiana Pacers. Well, the first 2 games were outstanding. Great job by the Lakers in getting it done in Texas, followed up by 2 even better performances that we saw, especially a 60-point outing from Luka Doncic in Miami and a game-winning shot from Luke Kennard in Orlando. Did follow up on Monday with a heartbreaking loss. I know that John was a little hard saying the Lakers choked and whatnot. Again, there were certain adjustments maybe JJ should have made, didn't get done. But the Lakers, tough loss in Detroit. Yes, I don't want to say they choked. They just had a tough loss in Detroit. But today was going to be the easy part of the schedule with several players out in the rotation. Rui, Marcus, DeAndre, to name just a few. It seemed like the Lakers were still going to be able, with their big three, to get by and get by rather easily. And it looked like at first that they were going to, being up by as many as 29 points. 29 points in the game. But Lakers have always got to make things interesting, and that yo-yo effect the Lakers have. Sometimes just finishing off opponents and staying focused throughout an entire four quarters. We see sometimes with this team, it's just hard for them to do, and they just in the second half or in that fourth quarter took their foot off the gas as that 29-point lead evaporated to 6 in the closing moments of the game. But there was never really much doubt who was going to win this game, as the Lakers did eventually just say, you know what, we've had enough, and just did enough to get it done in the clutch. 137-130. Defense was not at a premium tonight. Again, this was a tired team going the final game of their road trip. Now they get to head home. Well done. 5-1 on the road trip. I'm ecstatic. 47-26 on the season. Absolutely exceeding my expectations. I said if they could go 4-2, they could win Houston and split Florida, I would be ecstatic. And I'm even beyond that, because again, the Lakers just absolutely did a fantastic job of getting the job done this evening. And what are you guys saying? What are you guys talking about when you're here as far as the Lakers fast break? Truly appreciate you joining us. Once again, it's Gerald Glassford. Great to have you here. What's up, Vern? What's up, Craig? What's up, Adam? What's up, R. Carino? JSJ, Silverhawks. JSJ, we were talking about you, John. There you go. We're hoping that you would stop on by for the post game. Joe, shut up, Joe. Oh, that feels so good when I say it. Let's talk about how stupid you really are when you're in the comment section. It's so funny because Joe sometimes has moments of clarity when he comes on the show, but in the chat acts like a total idiot. And again, par for the course for Joe Soro right there. So in the immortal words, actually, I've seen it on shirt patterns right now. You know, shut up, Joe. Shut up, Joe, indeed. But is, of course, the Lakers fast break. Gerald Glassford right here for you. Let's talk about the positive, which I have been doing, Joe. Because so you haven't been listening or watching the show when I talked about how great it was for the Lakers to be exceeding our expectations. So let's talk about how great it was for the Lakers to get the victory. But yet you point, as always, Joe, to the negative. Let's talk about you and the negative, Joe, because you dwell on the negative way too much. So that's something you need to correct in your criticisms there. So again, a great victory for the Lakers, a great 5-1, a 5-1 road trip. That's what I'm going to focus on. I'm very ecstatic and happy about the Lakers as far as they head back into LA to go ahead and face off against the Brooklyn Nets here on Friday, actually. So looking forward to that indeed. The experiment. Yep, there. Oh, Joe again. Shut up, Joe. Feels so good. Feels so good. Feels so good, like I said. Joe Soro, moron of the year. There you go. Indeed. Absolutely. Oh, you want to make something of it, Joe? Come on the show and elaborate here, my friend. Elaborate indeed. Again, it is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. Truly appreciate it. Yes, exactly. Shut up. What about that turnover? What about the stupid comments you're saying right now, Joe? There you go. Indeed. Again, it is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching. Listen, the Lakers once again win 137-130. I once again proved Joe wrong time and time again. That goes without saying. Again, the Lakers were going to do as well as they did on the road trip, and they exceeded even my expectations. So definitely want to go ahead and talk about how great a game it was today, indeed. So yes, the Lakers again up by 29, put it in cruise control a little bit too early. Still had to keep the guys out there. So again, you saw them a little bit more than you would like to see them. They weren't able to utilize the bench probably as well as a lot of people would have liked to see, because I've seen that as far as the comments that you've been making. But still, LeBron James, a really solid game for him, 23, 9 and 9. Luka Doncic closing out the road trip with 43 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. want to go ahead and make mention of that as well. Also, as well, Austin Reaves kicking in with 25, and Jaxson Hayes, a very, very good performance from him. They found him often in the role of the starting center in place of DeAndre Ayton today. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 block shots. The drives, the lobs to the basket for him were plentiful today. So yes, credit him for being able to find spots in the defense to be able to get it done tonight. So yes, absolutely a great performance indeed by the Lakers for this road trip. Even though again this fourth quarter you could probably just go ahead and throw away, but again the Lakers do get it done right there for the Lakers. Again, a 5-1 road trip. Absolutely ecstatic for as far as that's concerned. Legend, what's up, my friend? Truly great to have you here. Stefan Piscano says MVP Luka now averaging a robust 39.6 in the last 11 games. Again, that's something we can discuss, Stefan, but I know that on your channel you've been trying to promote him as the MVP. It's a hard battle. It's a hard discussion, Stefan, because the fact that Luka is now performing at that level and the Lakers are now performing at that level as a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. But with the other two teams right there, that argument from other individuals have been swaying SGA and Victor Wembanyama to them, including Victor Wembanyama himself, who's been very adamant on how he feels the MVP voting should go. So there's an uphill battle for Luka. There's an uphill battle for him to be thought of as the guy being at the MVP. But Stefan will try to do what he can to promote Luka, and I credit him for doing so indeed. But again, we'll wait and see what the narratives that these guys that actually vote on will see as far as that's concerned. But Stefan says, I got to say, I was just looking at the standings. It's insane how hot we are. And somehow OKC and Spurs are both. Again, that's the point, Stefan, that people will point to. However good the Lakers have been, 10 out of their last 11, 5-1 on a very tough road trip. A lot of people will point out Victor Wembanyama as far as what they're doing, as far as exceeding the expectations that a lot of people had in San Antonio. And of course, OKC and that consecutive 20-point game streak for SGA and the fact that they are just still killing it, like you said. So it's hard. It's hard forever. Great Luka has been playing. However, MVP level Luka has been playing. However, gaudy numbers he's been playing at, it's so hard for him to overcome what those other two players and those other two teams are doing. So again, it's going to be coming down to the final games of the year as far as for the MVP is concerned. I'm hoping it will be justified in a very close race between those three. If it is there is a divisive or there's a big difference. I think that's the problem I would have if it's a unanimous win for SGA or a big win for Wemby over Luka or whoever. Then that's the problem I would have. Arcarino says, hope Joe joins the show too. No, I don't. If he does, he does. No skin off my back. But yeah, he stops by. I send him the link, Arcarino. It's up to him to get off his lazy butt and do it. So it's up to him to decide. JSJ said, let's OKC and OKC face each other in the second round. OKC and Denver. We'll see. Again, Denver is getting healthy. They got Peyton Watson back off the hamstring injury. So we'll see how it goes for them. Again, as long as you have Jokic and you have a healthy Murray heading into the playoffs and Aaron Gordon, they are going to be a formidable team as well. I'm not going to discount them at all coming here into the playoffs. So absolutely. So we'll wait and see. But Arcarino says, hey, Xbox, the GOAT. There you go. Xbox, the GOAT of mods. There he is indeed inside the mods right there. Yep, there you go. Absolutely, indeed. But once again, the Lakers do get the victory 137-130 as they get closer and closer to locking up the third place in the Western Conference right there. 47-26. They're 21 games above 500, 10.5 games out in the Western Conference, playing the best basketball as far as winning basketball that they have all season long. Today, again, that fourth quarter, they just they took their foot off the gas. You could clearly see that they knew they had this game won and decided just not to give that effort in the fourth quarter, do just enough to go ahead and fend off Indiana, who has the worst record in the NBA. So yeah, again, the outcome was never in doubt as far as tonight is concerned. But yes, a great overall road trip. Again, one of the best of the year for the Lakers, if not the best road trip for the Lakers this year. And the Lakers are 47 to 26, 10 and a half games out, but they are 2.5 games ahead of Denver in the Western Conference as we speak right now. 3 games ahead of Minnesota and 3.5 games of Houston. But remember, with the tiebreaker, essentially you're adding one more on top of that. So we'll wait and see what happens as far as the rest of the evening. Denver does play later tonight. We'll see on that one. Minnesota just started with Houston in a interesting game. We'll see what happens. It's if Houston loses, I think that's this point they can kiss third place goodbye if they lose tonight in Minnesota. So we'll see. Again, Experiment says, "What's your baseball question, Arcarino?" Because he's too scared to come on tonight. But again, it is Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate you joining us. Joe Soro does have his own channel, the Joe Soro Experiment, where he goes ahead and he spouts off on the Dodgers, Lakers, NFL football, and more. So go ahead and check him out there and like and subscribe while you're there. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again watching. Isaac Moore says, give Jack some more run. It all depends. He will probably get more leading into the playoffs, Isaac. But if, as we saw in against Minnesota in that first round, they take away the lob, that takes away a great part of Jaxson Hayes' offense. So you have to be careful how do you utilize him, and as far as how you disguise that lob in the offense, as far as concerned. Because again, if they shrink down the Lakers' ability to go ahead and utilize that. If the Lakers don't hit consistently from outside, that could be a problem for the Lakers in the playoffs. So they have to hit consistently from the outside. So that opens up the lane to go ahead and start utilizing Jaxson Hayes on the lobs, and also DeAndre Ayton, and to an extent LeBron as well. Joe Soros says he's an idiot, is what he's saying right now. So again, Joe, I agree with you. You are an idiot. Absolutely. I could not agree with you more, indeed. So, yep, there you go, indeed. But Gerald, Joe, let's get sentimental. Do you remember the first time you went to an MLB game as a child and as a father of applicable? Who did you go with? Was it fun? Yeah, you did. Oh, I clearly heard you say that. I saw you put that in there. Yes, in the chat. But I can tell you, for me, Carino, my first time going to the game was Chavez Ravine. As far as going ahead and checking out Steve Garvey, Ron Say, Bill Russell, David Lopes, one of the best Dodgers infields of all time. Steve Yeager, going ahead and seeing a game back in the late 70s, I believe it was. So yeah, it was absolutely a great time. Was able to go ahead and see that. So yeah, just that for me was a great experience with my family. But I have not yet to take my kids because my girls aren't baseball fans per se as of yet. They haven't even wanted to see the Aviators here in Las Vegas. So hopefully they'll get hooked once the Dodgers come by, as far as with the new stadium against the A's. But nobody here wants to go see the A's. They just want to go see who's playing against the A's. That's basically what's going on. Yep. So there you go, indeed. So for his first baseball game was Oakland, in the Oakland Mausoleum. Whew, that's a great start. They were playing the Tigers. Stefan Pascano says, my first baseball game was right when I moved to California. I snuck into an Oakland A's games with my boss at the time. It was amazing how easy. Now, when you look back upon it, Stefan, it doesn't look that hard now, because Oakland, again, they have some of the worst attended baseball games in modern history for a reason. So, yeah, that's why they're here in Las Vegas. That's why they're coming to Las Vegas. So that'll be it, indeed. But again, the Lakers do win 137 to 130. I want to hear your thoughts on what's going on with the Lakers again, as they find their way to go ahead and win and have a great road trip at 5-1. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts on it, as far as being able to go, and how far can this team go? How far can this team go in your mind in the playoffs? The Lakers are on a high. They've won 9 out of the last 10, 10 out of the last 11. They've been on a high for quite some time now. This team is playing well. They're really starting to find amongst the big three exactly the way we wanted them to all play consistently with each other. So how far do you think that's going to take them in this year's playoffs? I want to hear that in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Happy opening day. Go Yankees. For Isaac says. Okay, there you go. Stefan says, LOL, I guess they were happy that they were there, whether we paid or yeah. Yeah. Again, that's what it came down to. And then the fact is they got mad when Oakland moved out. I again, you understand why you didn't support the team while they were there, and then you got mad when they moved out. There might have been more people that were extras watching at Moneyball when they were making that movie than they're actually attending the real games for the Oakland A's. And I don't mean that it's just the truth. It's just the truth. I mean, I looked that up. I think last week or the other week, as far as who were the least attended baseball games, and Oakland is on more than one occasion high up on the list, and I'll just say, or low on that list, and I'll just say that. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Yo, what's up? How you doing, my friend? Great to have you here. DBSH. Go ahead and check them out today. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights right there for you. But again, the Lakers with the victory, 137 to 130. Looking forward to seeing what the Lakers can do to go ahead and finish off as far as the season is concerned. They have two easy games coming up, with a game against Brooklyn coming up on Friday. Then on Monday, I believe it is Washington, if I'm not mistaken. So we will go ahead and see what happens. Or is that Sunday? Let me go ahead and get you for sure on that. So Friday is against Brooklyn, and Monday. Yes. So they have the weekend off. They'll be playing some golf amongst that time. So Monday is at Washington, is against Washington at the crypto.com arena. Then a home game against Cleveland the next night. So yes, the Lakers Friday, Monday, Tuesday on their homestand. So they get the easy game on Monday and they get the tough game on Tuesday. So Cleveland is still looking to see if they can find their way through to move up in the Eastern Conference. It looks very doubtful that they will, because Boston and New York are fighting for second place in the Eastern Conference, but who knows? Who knows what that would be? But if Boston, keep your eye on Boston, guys. If the Lakers keep on winning, Boston, and if they keep losing, if Boston loses, the Lakers could take over a better record by the end of the season. And if you believe that the Lakers and Boston will rekindle their competitive matchup later this year in the NBA Finals, it would be best to have a better record for Boston so you could get that home court advantage. But again, right now, the Lakers are still about a game behind Boston on that. So we'll see how that materializes. But yes, right now, Boston, New York are essentially tied for second place in the Eastern Conference as we speak right now. So interesting to see how that's going to be. Isaac says, can Bronny be our backup point guard? At South Bay, yes, Isaac, he can be. For the Lakers, no. He is still not an NBA level player. He's got some athletic ability. He can slam dunk, yes, but as far as being able to do things at an NBA level, I think you are testing the patience of JJ, and you're testing the patience of every Lakers fan out there. I think you're asking for a lot of trouble if you think he could be a backup point guard in this league for the Lakers. I'll just leave it at that. Isaac says, how will the A's fare in Vegas? I think they'll do it okay, because they'll have enough teams coming in with their fan base coming in and flying into Las Vegas to watch them. I made the example last week because I stopped by a large retailer, and they had an entire section, and Joe would be happy to hear this, for the Dodgers. They had an entire section for the Las Vegas Aviators, which is the minor league team that's here and has been for years. The one thing they did not have, except for one thing that was clearance down to $5, was anything for the Oakland A's. And I think that tells you all you need to know about how excited this city is for them. They don't mind, I think, paying extra for the baseball stadium, because, again, they're going to be able to see their favorites like the Cubs, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Angels, the Mets, whoever come in here for 2 and 3 game sets. But I don't think you'll get many clamoring for the A's coming here, as far as the A's themselves, unless they become a good team. Now, if they become a good team once they get here to the A's and they start Vegas and they start spending money, then you'll probably see a little bit more interest in them because, again, who doesn't like winners? Las Vegas does appreciate back winners. We have the Aces that have won multiple championships. They've gotten on the bandwagon big time in this town for the Golden Knights, who have won a Stanley Cup and have been a continuous winner throughout their entire tenure as a expansion team. So yes, they will back a winner, but I think more often, at least in the first year, 2 years or so, you're going to see more support for the teams that are coming in to visit the stadium as opposed to the team that's actually the home team for the stadium. Now, as I've told you about when I go to Raiders games, depending on the team, you may see actually more than half the stadium filled with the opposite team's fan base. And that's quite interesting there, especially for a team as vaunted as the Oakland Raiders. So you'll probably see something similar for the Oakland A's going forward. Will Otani win his third MVP before Luka wins an MVP award? I think say yes. I say yes, JY. Otani, and I will never argue with Joe on this at all. I think he is a special player. I think he's one of the greatest players ever to play the baseball. And by the end of it, could be considered the best player in baseball. If you don't think he is now, I mean, he's the best player in baseball right now. Could he be the best all time? I think he's in that conversation now, and I think he's in that conversation already. So yes, I do think he'll win if he stays healthy. I think he'll win MVP before Luka wins MVP because it's harder for Luka because you have to have the narrative along with it, and the Lakers have to be, as you see, a top, not just a top three team. They have to right now be a top two team with SGA and OKC, and with Victor Wembanyama now on the rise against San Antonio. Denver may be able to next year may come back with Nikola Jokic because by the way, he's averaging a triple double. People seem to forget about that. And then you have Kate Cunningham in the East. There's just so many narratives Luka has to overcome, but Luka has to continue doing what he's doing now. And the Lakers have to be in a first or second place scenario for him to all season long for him to be in that scenario that you're seeing SGA in, because SGA has that built-in advantage because OKC's been so great as a team this season. Arcarino says, Gerald, do you do any research for the best college prospects for the Lakers to draft? If not, do you know if there's? Yeah, first place I stopped by as a reference is Tankathon. If you type in the word Tankathon, I'm going to put it in the chat. What I do is I go there and then I go to several draft sites and I go to my old friends at Draft Junkies. Now, Rafael Barlow, who I used to come on this show. I used to do several draft shows all the time for this show, whether the Lakers had a pet draft pick or not. I do still am going to dwell on it. Absolutely. I'm going to go and focus on it. Caleb Ponce has been eyeing the draft. And we talked about it a little bit on the March Madness segment of NBA observations. So our Karina, I would suggest you start there with yesterday's show. I popped up at NBA observations. You guys are missing out. If you're missing my conversations with some of the guys that are following other teams on NBA observations, you're really missing out on the NBA conversations that need to be had. And one of those is March Madness and how it will affect the NBA draft. So I really highly recommend that. But I do recommend Draft Junkies. James Barlow, who I've met him, I've talked to him. He's actually been on the show here as well in the past. He covers the draft and leading up to it. So I'd suggest him. Jeremy Wu is doing some interesting things at ESPN, being their draft coverage guru there. He has suggested that, who is it that he had? He had the big kid from Arizona, Krivas. Yes. Motejas Krivas at 7'2", 260, the Lakers taking, which right now it's a little high, but again, this is before all the draft workouts. This is all based off of what they're doing in college, guys, or in Europe. So it's right now, it's a lot of speculation. When the draft combine in Chicago later on here after the draft, after the college basketball tournament, that's a key as far as what they measure out to, their measurements, and then how they play and interact with each other, because they have those scrimmages against each other. That also brings a lot into the fray. But right now, I'm looking, and I have been looking at Ademara, who is 7'3", 255 from Michigan. I know he has got some parts of his game, like his free throw shooting is not great, but it again, if you're talking about what the Lakers could get in the draft to fill needs, I think a big body like that or Krivas at 7'2", 260, if you think they're agile enough to be able to defend, in the switching defense, it might be the key because the Lakers do need some strength and some size, and they can get that in this draft. Or do you go with more skill? Do you go with somebody at that spot where the Lakers are 25th right now? They've also right now Tankathon has Morez Johnson Jr., the teammate of Ademara in Michigan. Now, of course, when you say Michigan, that's Rob Pelinka's backyard, and he loves to get guys from there. So that goes without saying. But that's a guy right there at 6'9", 250 who could provide some size and rebounding for the Lakers. Or do you go somewhere different? Do you go a Christian Anderson, point guard? It's a backup point guard that the Lakers may get, kid with a 6'3" guard out of Texas Tech. Or do they go somewhere else as far as maybe a wing like Yusufu at Baylor, who's very athletic, a kid that really could do some good things out there. Just again, it's always about the shot. With these kids in the 20s, you always see that they do they have everything put together as far as it's concerned. If a Chris Senek from Houston with a 6'11", 240 size drops, do you go after him? And then there's also the question as well, Carino, when it comes to the draft choice as well. I know that a lot of people, if you're in the camp of getting Giannis and dangling a trade in front of Milwaukee for Giannis, then you'll need this up pick. That's that's the problem right there, as far as what you do. I would rather see the Lakers keep a pick. I really need to think. I really think they need to start thinking about building depth. I mean, today's game showed that you need more depth on the back end of the roster because you just don't have the sheer talent after guy number 7 or number 8 that's really going to be able to give JJ or us as Lakers fans any kind of confidence because they just don't seem to provide you quality minutes off that bench consistently, and that's gonna be a problem going forward, but again, it starts with the draft, and we don't know yet what Rob Pelinka will do, whether or not he'll keep it or he'll bundle that, because he has to make the pick. The Lakers are required to make the pick, but if they have a deal in place with Milwaukee, like for let's say Giannis, they will make the pick based on who Milwaukee wants in the pick, and they will trade him soon after. But again, it is of course the Lakers fast break. The Lakers do win tonight. Uh, Not as quite as comfortable as you would like to see it, but 137 and 130. Lakers are 47 and 26, third place in the Western Conference. And here today to go ahead and discuss what's going on in the NBA and also as well what's going on with the game against the Indiana Pacers. Good man indeed. It is, of course, the legend himself, legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Legend, great to have you back as always, my friend. I know that you and I, as we talked about as well, March Madness, starting to get our eye more focused on what who is rising and who could be falling. Uh, how much stock before we get into the game? How much stock do you take on performances during March Madness? Because you and I have seen over the course of time where whoever the hot player is for the 5 games, let's say that he takes for to go a long way in March Madness, you know, they become the hot man. They become the hot guy. They see them rising up as far as in the mock drafts based on what he did as in that short period of time, as opposed to what he did all season long. So, how much do you take from a player that produces or doesn't produce right now in March Madness?
I mean, I take a good bit of stock into it because it's your level of competition, and if you're trying to get into the NBA, you need to go out there and put up maybe about NBA like numbers. But at the same time, I don't make it like 100% my stock. So I mean, I put like 60% stock and then 40% stock I don't. And the reason why I say 40% is because we don't see a lot of players go out here dominating the tournament, dominating the college. They get to the NBA and this gonna be nothing. So it's like you should take a good bit of stock into it, but don't place all your eggs in that basket at the same time, because just because they did good in college, don't mean they're gonna translate to the NBA. We don't see lots and lots of guys who have went up there and put up monster numbers in college, get to the NBA, and you be like, what happened? What happened to the guy I just looked at a couple months ago? Don't translate to the NBA, and that's because the game is so different. The physicality of the game, the pace of the game, the defense of the game is just completely different. So I put a good bit of I put a good bit of my mindset into college, but I wouldn't put all my 100% of hope into it. It's still 50-50 on what you're getting. The one person I would really say that kind of a red flag to me is the kid from Kansas. Though. That one I would be a little worried about. The fact that you send out college games is a little iffy. Could be a red flag, but who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Again, I'm I just don't want to fall in love with someone again. As far as I've seen it. They just rise dramatically. They go from like
Yep.
a second rounder or an undrafted to vaulting somewhere in the first round, based off of what they did in this short game, which is good in the fact that when it's the most important for your team, it's great that you go on a hot streak at that point in time. But again, it's got to come with some caveats as far as what is the overall game by game look as far as how this player is evaluated. Again, and I'm looking at for the Lakers a team that where they're placed in the draft, which is going to be in the mid to late 20s right now. It's probably going to be someone that if they can get some size would probably be what they would want to lean on more, because trying to find skill or shooting or someone really adept at that area at that part of the draft, that's a little bit harder. You're able to maybe take a chance like Renaud. I know we go back to Renaud in Sacramento, second rounder for him, but it's easier to find some guys that are projects that may come through when you're looking at that part of the draft. It's a little bit harder to go ahead and find a skilled player. I know that we need athleticism along the wing. We need defenders along the wing. I understand. I get that. You may be able to find players, but those players right there in those 20s are going to be a little bit harder, a little bit more. They have more flaws coming to them at that part of the draft.
Yeah, they're gonna have more flaws, and even like I tell a lot of people too, just because you get the number one pick, don't mean you're gonna land a superstar. Hey, look at my Hawks. We got a number one pick in the one of the weakest drafts we don't see in a while, and our number one pick is right now enjoying the bench, getting limited amount of minutes. So just because you get the number one pick or two or three doesn't guarantee anything. A lot of these kids, they are hit or miss. Some of these kids might land, some kids may not. They're just hit or miss. Same thing with the second round picks. You never know what you get in the second round. You can find the Draymond Green. You can find the Jokic. I bet a lot of
Jalen
kids
Brunson we talked about this
Jalen
week.
Brunson. I think I just asked one of my kids today in my ninth grade class. How many of you guys can tell me what Jokic got drafted at? Oh, he was number one. No, 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 no.
JSJ said, "Who is my dream pick?" I don't have a dream pick that when the Lakers are in the 20s like that. It's just again
Hit or miss.
a hit or miss. I mean, even Adamara, I said, with that size at 7'3", 255, good passer, can hit shots pretty good as far as within the key. It's looked pretty good, but again, he's 55% shooting from the free throw line, which is not very good at all. So you wonder what his long term outlook is, but he definitely has the size and probably capability to block shots and be a rim protector for the Lakers, maybe in the vein, and a rebounder, maybe in the vein that we're seeing from Mitchell Robinson. So I don't have a dream pick per se. Krivas again, 7'2", 260. Again, Jeremy Woo is really high on him for what the Lakers may be able to get. But maybe if Cenac drops lower, a kid who's 7 feet 250 can play along power forward as a rebounder, maybe. But
Maybe.
I mean, my dream would be actually the Lakers somehow managing to move their way into the top 3 of the draft. That would be my dream right there. But I know that's not going to happen. But I'd say maybe if Cenac Jr. drops out, I've seen him in Houston, and he is a very defensive-minded wing. A little bit offensively challenged, but as a guy who could dominate with athleticism and power, could do worse. Could do
Could do
worse.
worse. I mean, that could work. I mean, some of these kids, they worth a shot. Some of the kids, you just take a chance and see what's there. Just like the kids you got, like the kid you guys got right now. I know a lot of people always ask about him. I think he got hurt somehow. But
Which kid?
I think is it a dude? I think it's a dude.
Oh, Tierro. Yeah, the kid we traded twice up to get. But today he was out wide, left knee management.
Mm.
And this comes off of a 2-minute stint in the last game. I mean, I'd like to see what this kid can do. I'm not going to say he's a draft bust. I'm not going to say it wasn't worth moving up to two trades, trading twice to move up to get him. But it's just hard to evaluate him when you don't see him out there when you think he should get that opportunity.
Right.
I mean, left knee management coming off a day off for only a 2-minute stint.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Am I missing something here?
Yeah, that one's a little weird. I was like 2 minutes. How you get hurt in 2 minutes? But
this would have been a perfect time to play him against the worst team in the NBA.
Yeah.
This is when you need to play. And I know that JJ after the game said all the nice flowery things about Bronny James. Ooh, shivers.
Oh boy.
But he
did
say that.
Line.
Yeah, he was throwing the flowers Bronny's way. He says our staff has a lot of confidence in him. It felt like this was a game where we really needed him. Well, okay, first you have a lot of players out. Second, you're playing the worst in the league. So if you can't play him then, when can you play him? That's the thing. When you can't play these guys against the worst team in the NBA, when can you play him?
It's over for you then if you can't play against the worst. It's over. I mean, I don't know what to tell you if you can't play against the Brooklyn Nets, my Golden State Warriors right now, the Pacers. Like, you can't play against them. Start speaking Chinese, buddy.
And Stefan, when it comes to your dude Tierro, again, I don't want to say he's a draft bust yet. Again, it's a second rounder, first off. But second of all, the fact is he did start his career on a bad note with the knee injury. He didn't play at all in training camp, didn't play at all in summer league, didn't play at all the first part of the season. And I'd like to see how his game develops. I know you guys are really excited about how he looks when you see those highlights of him doing the slam dunks, and I know Isaac said MJ athleticism. I don't want to go that far, but the kid is very athletic. I don't know if he rates out to 6'7". He seems a little smaller than that when he's playing against, I know 6'7". But still, I'd still like to see how he works out with the Lakers because you invested in him. And Stefan says, well, you just put some cash in to move up. That's still millions of dollars. These are not just some cash, Stefan. When you move up in the draft, how much? Because they moved up in the draft to get Max Christie. They spent millions of dollars. They moved up in the draft in the second round to get the kid. I forget what his name was because they let him go to Brooklyn. He was a bust. Let him go to Brooklyn and he tore up his knee.
I think I know who you're talking about, but I forgot his name.
Yeah, I'll get that here in a second with the Lakers. But again, when you move up in the draft, Legend, these are not. You're not doing it for chump change. You're doing it for a lot of cash that's exchanging hands when you move up. So when you invest this kind of money, these are $1 million investments you place on these kids, and you hope to see it realized out there on the court, Legend.
I mean, one thing I would say, Gerald, you want these kids to be a success because the CBA ain't our friend out here, and CBA is gonna make you tear all them good players down. That's like one of the worst things about the CBA. You can do all the trading, all in the world to get all these veteran players, but at some point they're gonna become too expensive. You might let them go. It's really better to like really go the draft route where you can get a lot of these good talents for such a cheap price for a good little while before they become too expensive. So it is kind of important to try your best to get the right hit in the draft, but it's so hard. It's just hard. And like I said, so just because you did good in college, don't mean it's gonna translate to the pros. And it's unfortunately the truth. You don't see guys from overseas in the Euro League, look good overseas and come over here and don't do well.
Maxwell Lewis.
Oh, that's him.
Uh,
Okay, that's him.
yes. Well, but Stefan, when you have to revisit the Adu experiment in 2028, what
That's
does
bad.
that say? What does
That's
that say?
bad.
Or the 2027? When this kid should get the opportunity now. I don't again left knee management. If you're a Adu Thiero, you're like, this is an opportunity the next 3 games where I can showcase my skills. Why am I being left out? Why am I being put out as far as especially coming off a day off? It does not make much sense, Legend.
It definitely don't. You don't want to spend so much money on a kid and it just don't pan out. You just gotta do your very best to get the right pick. And like I say, it's hard, but you just gotta do your very best and you gotta scout hard and look at what they're doing in college and just think, can this translate to the pros? One thing I always tell people: if you're a good defender in college, there's a very good chance that defense will translate to NBA. If you're very good at offense, that's not a very good chance that's going to translate. Defense has a greater chance of translating offense. So, there's just things you got to think about when you're looking at these kids and seeing how things, pan out. I guess Max Christie so far is still the best pick so far.
Yeah, of this decade without a doubt, by far for Rob Pelinka, indeed. Well, unless Jaden McDaniels, because they actually did pick him, but they sent him immediately to Minnesota. So
Ooh, man, I know
technically,
they did that.
yes, but no, that was part of it. I think a prearranged deal. So yeah, it's but yeah, that's you could say
Yeah.
either one of those guys beat indeed. But did want to mention to Jeremy, yes, the Lakers won today, 137 to 130. Lakers are now 47 and 26. Again, great performances to finish off the road trip by Luka, Austin, and LeBron, and also Jaxson Hayes. Want to give him a ton of credit as well. Legend again, and I just want to say this, Arcarina. One last thing at Legend. San Antonio has 3 picks in the second round. There are teams with multiple picks in the second round. Keep your eye on those type of teams where you can, like Stefan you talked about, cash. You can buy your way back into the second round if you want. If you're a team that does not have a second round pick like the Lakers or someone else, Legend, or if you're really eyeing someone that you can say, you know what, that kid can not only make an NBA roster, but I think he can do some things like a Diawara in New York, like a
Good point, Isaac.
Richard in Golden State, Will Richard. Those kind of kids, those are the things you want to see, of course, Reynald and whatnot. But again, if you envision that, you might take a chance and buy your way back into the second round as well.
That's definitely a good point. If people see what they really like, they may want to pay a certain amount to get that draft pick, and just depending on if you see someone who could be that guy and make a big difference on your team. That's how Oklahoma grew. That's how Oklahoma became what we know. Doing really good in the draft, doing really really good, hitting all the right notes. If you can do the same thing, it'll benefit you with the Lakers. Get what you need, find what you're looking for, cheap price. That's the best thing about it. Cheap, not expensive. Yeah.
I know that's what we were talking about during the I guess as far as what we're watching the game, while we're watching the game, as far as on out there on Discord, and Jay Huff, again, as a backup for $2 million for the next 3 years, would be kind of nice to have as a guy who can come in, shoot from distance, and block some shots. But again, these are some of the things that you do as a general manager. Some things you hit on, some things you don't. So we'll have to wait. Yeah, JHS is not even league anymore. Isaac, you're right. Drafted Zubats too. He was a second round. He was actually a first rounder, but teams at the end of the draft, at the end of that first round, wanted to draft and stash him, and he was adamant he wanted to play in the league right away. And yeah, well, we see how that went. And again, next year with Indiana and Vari, we were talking to Vari on this, Legend, in Indiana. It looks bad now. It's one of the worst drop-offs in sports history, not just NBA, but sports history. You go from a team that's 1 game away from a world championship, actually 3/4 away from a world championship, before Tyrese Halliburton went down, to the worst record in the NBA.
Yeah.
But my question is to you: if everything goes right this summer, you get Halliburton back healthy, and we've seen how well Jason Tatum has played as far as coming back from his injury. If Halliburton has something similar, if Zubats plays like Zubats, 14 and 14 and 10, 14 11, every night, providing you a guy inside with bulk and size in the interior. And then you have the number one pick in the draft with a Debansa or a Peterson, or as Vari wanted, Booker, or Caleb Wilson. This draft, and that's what I talk about with the second round draft. You guys want to mount up because this, if barring a lot of people just abandoning, the draft and staying in school because they want to cash in on that NIL money, this could be one of the deepest drafts in a while. So be interested in what happens in the second round. But Nina, I digress. How far do you think the rebound will occur with Indiana next season? How far do you think they can get back up as far as where they were at to where they are now to where they could be next season? Because they essentially have the same team outside of Miles Turner and who is it? Shepherd. Was it Shepherd in when I got traded to the Clippers? Yeah. So your thoughts, my friend, how good Indiana can be once again?
I can definitely say, Jared, I like Luka game. That killer mindset. It's one of them I like to watch him play so much. What I will say is they could be better next year. The thing is, this year's a wash. The injuries hurt. It is what it is. But I would definitely say this thing can be a lot better next year. I know it's ugly this year. Pacer fans, stay alive. But it should be a lot better next year. Will they get back to the finals? I have no idea. But anything is possible. They won't be this bad next year, that's for sure. If I was the Pacers, take advantage of being this bad. Use them lottery picks that you got right now to your advantage. You can either flip it into something or maybe you want to keep it. Depending on who you get. But take advantage of the situation. Make the moves to benefit next year, not this year. This year's a wash. But make the moves for when Hollenberg get back. See, can you make another run and get back to the finals? Because he was literally one game away from winning it. And who knows if he don't get hurt? Maybe we talking about Indiana being the champions right now. Who knows? But it ain't the end of the world. They can easily flip this thing back around and be back on the right side of things next season. To me, getting Zubac, that was a good move. Continue to make moves like that. Continue to get pieces that will fit around to make a run next year. But I would say, Gerald, if they manage to get that number one pick, my God, you got a lot of power on your side. You can do whatever you want at that point. Maybe you want to call Milwaukee and be like, what you want to do with Giannis? I got a number one pick right here for you. What you want to do?
And as of right now, though, I don't think they'll lose the pick. I think their record is just too bad to lose the pick, end up losing the pick for reason. I think they unless they want to trade away. I think Indiana's keeping that pick, but it's interesting. Your Hawks legends are they're looking, my friend. And right now, Tankathon has New Orleans at number 8, which would bring it over, of course, to Atlanta. Darius Acuff. Again, what are your thoughts on Darius Acuff? Because people have been either really hot or really cold on him. As an elite scorer in college basketball, there are few that can match with him. I know there are defensive issues, size issues when it comes to him, but I think this kid's scoring ability, I think it could translate to the next level.
I think it can translate to the next level too. Yeah, like you said, been a lot of people kind of on and off about him, but I think it's a very good chance that his game will translate over. He definitely gonna have some growing pain moments, but over time I think it'll translate over. He'll adjust to the game pretty quick, and he comes to the right place. There's no pressure in Atlanta right now, like you're trying to win a championship. So it's a good place to come in and get your growth pains and try to grow while learning from the vets that's on the team and learning from Jalen Johnson, Kuminga, and the rest of the crew, learning from them and let them come in and help us build towards something next year. Let's build something really good. Because right now they're on fire. They are kicking butt right now. And that's what I want to see on Saturday when they get to the game.
Once again, it is the Lakers fast break. Wanted to go ahead and mention again the Lakers do win 137 to 130, 47 to 26 on the season. They finish a great road trip 5-1. So they head back with a couple of games like today where they're playing some of the worst in the league. It's clear that they just took their foot off the gas in that fourth quarter. This game was like at one point the Lakers were leading by 29, and the Lakers were just end of the road trip, thinking about that golf course. Just let's head on home. But your thoughts as far as how this trip went overall? 5-1 on the road trip, absolutely exceeded many of our expectations out there. And with this road trip and the wins when they got them, have probably sealed. It's just about as close as to sealing the
Yeah.
deal for third place in the Western Conference. I mean, the Lakers could go 500, and I think they could probably still win third place in the Western Conference. But your thoughts, my friend, on how they did this road trip as compared to what we were talking about leading into it 1 week ago.
I think they had an excellent road trip. I think a lot of us wasn't really expecting no 5-1. To me, they had a dang good road trip. You've been on the road for a good minute. You went into Houston. You beat them not once, you beat them twice. That's impressive. It is not easy to beat the same team back to back in their arena. That's hard. No matter what's going on, no matter how bad that team could be, that is hard, and that's impressive. They went to Miami, knowing that's a scheduled loss, pretty much how that was set up. You went there and won that game. Won a very hard fight in Orlando. Luke Kennard knocking down the game winner. You won that game. That might should have been a loss too, almost. Detroit, is what it is with that one. Yeah, it is what it is. Then you come to this game. Game probably should have been over with the third quarter, but you still won the game. That's all that matters. Win is a win. So they had a really good road trip. I think it's a really success. I don't think you really can complain. To go 5-1, that's excellent. To me, I'd have been like, if you went 4-2, that's probably what I was looking for. But the fact that you got 5-1, hey man, I took my hat off to you. That's a heck of a success road trip. Go back home, get in your own bed, and handle your business there, and probably get ready for the real game. You got to see Oklahoma City very soon, and they lost tonight too.
Yep. I'll just say this: M24. When it comes to VAR, much love to my friend in Australia, but what you're saying is true, and he punched a hole in the wall. That does surprise you. Remember, he broke his headset, I believe, during the World Series. So that sounds like our VAR indeed. But Legend, always great to have you here. But before we head out, I want to go ahead and make sure we got you covered on what they're doing today. And like you said, OKC, the tough loss in Boston, which is a tough loss for the Lakers, because again, if you're trying to catch up to Boston, today's score isn't going to help you at all. But when it comes right down to it, what are you doing at I Got Next Sports Media, my friend?
Definitely trying to see kind of schedule a particular analyst I would like to talk to. She kind of like an analyst who loves the WNBA. She knows a lot about it. So I'm trying to see if I can get her on my show to talk some WNBA. And then very soon, when we get a little closer to the playoff, I'm going to invite my good friend Gerald here to come on the show, and we're going to do a playoff bracket and to discuss how we think everything will play out once we know exactly how everything is going to sit.
Before we go out on, my friend, I want to have a conversation on the MVP, because again, I cannot blame Stefan at all for the energy behind saying Luka's MVP, and the Lakers fans, they we're adamant on having and seeing Luka as the MVP this season. It's great. But as you and I both know, when we cover the league and we watch the league, these voters that actually vote on, it's about the narrative. And sometimes they're stubborn and they stay in their own lane as far as what they decide. And sometimes their decisions are made earlier in the season, with OKC. But like you said, with OKC's loss and San Antonio's big win in Memphis, that takes things down to a 2-game lead for Oklahoma City, with 2 games against the Lakers for OKC, among others. So How interesting could this get for MVP for SGA, for
It,
Wemby, who already thinks himself as the
yeah,
MVP? I love the kid's confidence. I didn't say he
I
was
like
right.
it too. I like it.
I love the fact you guys should, if you're a San Antonio fan out there, you should love the fact that this kid just talks and he doesn't do it in a mean way or vicious way. He just says, you know what, I'm the MVP. Doesn't say it in a mean way. Just says doesn't say
I
brat.
love the confidence.
Just says it with a call out of confidence, and it's hard to argue with the 7'6" guy going, "No, I think you're wrong." So that being said, my friend, how important will this next 10 days be with Luka in the mix, I think, and should be put. Even though Tim Bontemps on ESPN thought it was crazy that Ban McMahon said that Luka is number 3, and he was just like, "Why don't you keep Jokic?" He just went off on why don't you keep Jokic? He must not watch basketball, is what's going on
Must
right now,
not.
but must not. And Jokic again, that's fourth. It's no slouch on him. He's having his usual triple double, but again, if you're basing it off of narratives, Luka has a better narrative than Jokic. But in the next 10 days, who will have the best narrative and come out of it with an MVP?
I definitely think when it comes to the MVP stuff, it it's like all over. Like it's like the requirements for it changes every single year. It feels like it does, and I feel like it's at this point to win MVP, you gotta have like a narrative of something going for you. It's not even no longer about just your stats. What is your team doing? They're looking at all the different stuff. And to me, and this is to me what I feel like I've seen the last couple of years, a lot of these voters by February, I feel like they already know who they want to go for. I feel like a lot of these guys have already decided who they're picking. But I do think because Oklahoma lost tonight, the Spurs won, that race get a lot more interesting now. Because if some reason these two teams end up getting the same record and then the Spurs just whoop, they take the first place, oh my God, Wimby might can pull it off.
And
He just, you know,
who legend has the tiebreaker in this scenario between OKC and San Antonio?
Spurs got it. They got that
Yep.
very easily right now. Very, very. I mean, they don't beat them with no problem this season. They had Oklahoma's number every time they played. If I'm Oklahoma, I would be worried about playing them in the playoff. So to me, this can go either way, and this thing can get tighter and tighter. So if I was a Spurs fan, I would be looking at the Lakers like, do me a solid, bring them down just a little bit more, like help me get the number one. Do me a solid. But at the same time, you may not want that. Like, do you want to play Oklahoma in round 2? You may not want that. You might want to stay with the Spurs, but it can go either way. I think Luka has definitely had put up some godly numbers these last several games. I think the only thing that might really hurt him is one person team winning more than the other situation. You know, that might end up hurting him. And then, like you said, Gerald, it's the narratives. It's already
The
out there.
Lakers were sixth place. Were sixth place in the
Yep.
Western Conference. Guess where he was in the MVP standings in
Like the
most draft?
bottom.
He was at sixth. He was in sixth place himself. So
Mm.
to rise over all these other candidates, and I think it's a great achievement. But
Yes.
again, Wemby and SGA have been there at the top. It's really hard to overcome that. And I understand, Stefan, you really pushing Luka as number one, and I would love to support that. And I love supporting it as far as number one is concerned. But again, what these guys will vote on and what they'll actually do, we'll have to wait and see. But it is now no longer a cinch
Yeah.
within the final less than 10 games of the season who is going to have the overall best record in the league. And if you listen to Victor Wembanyama, I mean, they've got an easy game in Milwaukee, an easy game in Chicago, an
Yeah, this
easy
is
game,
easy.
cover your ears, over at Golden State. Then they have the Clippers at
Oh boy.
Denver. And then the last 4 games are at home for San Antonio, with the only tough one maybe at the end of the season against Denver. While OKC has their next 5 games at home, with LA and Detroit and New York being the tough ones out of that 5. But they go on the road against the Lakers, the Clippers, who will be fighting for a play-in spot, and Denver. and then
Oof.
they end the road trip on the road at home against Phoenix. So going to be interesting to see how it shapes up because again, this Oklahoma's had their way most of the
Yeah,
season, and when they take their foot off the gas even just a little, it looks like San Antonio has been right there, or Detroit in the past, but now San Antonio's been right there to capitalize.
I will say though that Oklahoma versus Lakers game, those two games can make a big difference for either one of them. Like say the Lakers took both of those two games, that would probably catapult Luka's probably number one for at that point. Well, at least number two if he can't get number one, or vice versa. If Oklahoma City beats the Lakers both time or something, or even split, that probably pushes Luka on probably not required about out the race at that point. It's gonna be a 2-man race. So I feel like those two games gonna probably decide what happens for Luka at that point, as well as how that could impact SGA too. But if I'm Wemby, I'm just cheering for keep taking some L's, take a couple more L's on them last couple of tough games, so I can jump over you and really make a strong case for MVP. So this might get interesting towards the end.
We'll see what happens, but it is Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Please go ahead and support him today with a like and subscribe right there. And then for me, truly appreciate you joining me. I will go ahead and make sure I provide some NBA observations for you in the interim. Plus, also as well, I throw up those great clips for you that I pop in from time to time if you miss out on the larger shows that we do. So go ahead and check those out when you can. But also my Lakers latest for the Fan Arc Network as well. But want to thank everybody for watching and listening. The Lakers once again, 137 to 130. They head back home to LA, victors of 5 of 6 on the road trip, 10 of their last 11 as they head into play 2 easy games on Friday and Monday, and there's no excuse there indeed. So for Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, it's Gerald Glassford. Legend, any last thoughts before we head on out?
I would definitely say everybody buckle up. These last couple of games gonna be interesting, and let's get ready for some good playoff basketball. It's my favorite time of the year, like March Madness. Time for some people to go home. Time to end some people's season.
It's funny because I saw something about Nick Wright, who I know Joe and a lot of other people have issues with. I have issues with. I just think the guy could just one of those guys that just says stuff, talk
Yeah,
about Wemby in a not so flattering light, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, all right. You must not be watching the same games that a lot of other people are, and I'll just leave it at that.
it
But
sound like a Nick Wright thing for sure, right there for him to say.
yeah, I think he just there's some people like him that just get paid to say, okay, I know what the truth is, but I'm just going to go ahead and say something different.
Say the
Just
opposite.
yeah, say the opposite indeed. But again, it's great to have Legend here from I Got Next Sports Media. Hopefully, we will get Joe coming out of his cubby hole, his hibernation hole next time around for the game on Friday. We'll see. And then John texting me as we go on here. My bad. I didn't make it back. That's okay. No worries. So maybe he'll make it back for Friday's game as far as the post game is concerned. But it is the Lakers on Friday against Brooklyn. Hope you will join us for the game after that. Stefan says Nick Wright course. Yes, he does. He does corner that market, Stefan, indeed. But El Rosa says, I like Nick. He's always right. No, I
No,
no, Rosta. No, now I know you're not being serious.
he's
No,
always
no.
right at being wrong. Yeah,
Yeah, no. No. I'm okay. You guys are you guys
oh
have
man,
fun on the chat. Yeah, this chat is something special indeed. But it's of course Legend from I Got Next Sports Media. Cyril Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. We'll be back for hopefully an NBA observations on Thursday. I'm going to see if I can reach out to my good friend Legend to go ahead and see if he'll stop on by for something on Thursday, if I could time it out right. And it will also be back for something on Friday as well. So go ahead and make sure you check us out for the post game NBA observations. The Lakerholics, they're all geared up now. Now that it's getting close to the end of the season, they all want to do shows now. So, yes, all the stuff now that you're seeing because the Lakers are winning is all great to see. And I'm great to have you a part of it right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.